Rudo was just another poor bastard living in the slums, regularly breaking into the rich folks' junkyards to swipe anything remotely useful. But when he's falsely accused of murdering his foster father and chucked into the pit, where all the world's garbage gets dumped, he finds himself battling monstrous piles of trash to claw his way back up and get some sweet revenge. Then we see the world he lives in is one hell of a divided place. On one side, there's the pristine, picture-perfect city where the rich assholes lounge around living their best damn lives. On the other, there's the filthy slums, home to folks like Rudo. The one thing these two places share is the pit, a festering dump for garbage and criminals alike. The rich toss away barely damaged items without batting an eye, like the snobby mother who casually instructs her daughter to check a puppy toy she literally just bought because it got a tiny scratch. She coldly tells the kid they'll just buy a new one because God forbid something looks slightly imperfect. The daughter agrees and her mom heartlessly tosses the toy puppy into a garbage chute, sending it straight down to a truck parked in an underground tunnel, headed to the massive trash heap. Little do they know, young Rudo is already lurking around down there, eyeballing whatever goodies these spoiled brats have tossed out. Sneaking into the trash collection area, Rudo slips into one of the storage rooms. But his luck sucks as usual. A nosy-ass guard hears a suspicious noise and immediately bursts in to catch him digging through the trash. Pointing his gun at Rudo, the guard starts shouting, calling him a filthy degenerate who's ruining the city's beauty by hoarding garbage. Rudo doesn't even flinch, having heard worse insults every freaking Sunday. The guard sounds the alarm and reinforcements arrive in no time. Fed up, Rudo hurls bags of garbage at them, and these neat freight guards completely lose their minds at the sight of some raw eggs staining their precious uniforms, freezing up uselessly as Rudo scrambles up the vent and escapes. Rudo pops out of the vent close to the exit, but of course, the gate slams shut right in his face and more guards flood in, guns blazing. But Rudo effortlessly dodges their bullets like a Parker expert and charges straight toward the exit, and he stays perfectly safe because the guards clearly sucks at shooting. Just as he's about to leap over the wall, one lucky shot grazes his arm, pissing him off even more, but he's already out of sight before they can catch him. As the dumb guards waste their time searching for him, Rudo climbs out of a sewer hole, cursing under his breath about the sheer stupidity of guarding literal garbage that nobody else even wants. The following morning, word about the damned garbage thief spreads like wildfire through the city, and of course, all the rich assholes instantly blame it on the slum folks. On the other side of the wall, the slum dwellers know exactly who's responsible because this ain't Rudo's first time dumpster diving. Hell, half of them secretly hope he finally gets caught just so he'll stop dragging their reputation deeper into the shitter. Rudo couldn't care less about their opinions though as he sets up shop, proudly displaying all the fixed-up junk he scavenged. Just then, his friend Chua storms over, pissed off, demanding to know why the hell he risks his neck for a bunch of city people's garbage. He shrugs her off, telling her those rich bastards toss away perfectly good stuff like it's nothing, so he feels sorry for the poor things and figures if he can make some cash off them, that's just a bonus. Chua seems to get it, but right then, three little asshats show up, dramatically pinching their noses and complaining loudly that something reeks worse than a sewer around here. They warn Chua to stay clear of Rudo or else she'll smell just as bad. They roast Rudo's thick black gloves, saying he probably hasn't washed the nasty things since the days of the dinosaurs, and joke that just one touch from those disgusting mitts would give someone a lifetime of rashes. One kid takes it further, kicking over the lantern Rudo had just fixed, sneering that no one in their right mind would buy that piece of junk. Then the little brat mocks Rudo's hands themselves, calling them even creepier than his crusty gloves and saying that's exactly why he keeps them covered. Rudo silently endures the roast session, but the second one of them crosses the line by calling him a murderer's son. His patience snaps, and his eyes flare with sudden rage. Yet they keep running their mouths, saying the slums were built to cage criminals and all the residents here are just their messed up descendants. That's why most slum dwellers try so hard to keep their reputation clean, and Rudo's foster father tarnished that reputation by committing murder. At that point, Rudo unleashes a death glare so intense the kids damn near shit themselves, scrambling away while shouting insults from a safe distance, claiming Rudo will end up just like his father. Rudo just quietly gets back to fixing the lantern, and Chua steps closer, softly reassuring him that she knows deep down he's a good guy and nothing like his father. Rudo immediately gets awkward and red-faced at the compliment, but before he even stutter out a thank you, Chua's eyes catch sight of the puppy toy he'd grabbed from the dump last night. Turns out he'd picked it specifically as a gift for her, hoping to finally level up his pathetic-ass charisma stat. But just as he's about to hand it over, Chua's mom storms in, interrupting his moment and dragging Chaiwa away before he can complete his cute mission. After that awkward-ass moment, Rudo heads back home only to find his adoptive dad Ragto chilling there waiting for him. Ragto immediately starts clowning him, perfectly mimicking Rudo's nervous fumbling when he tried handing Chua the puppy. Rudo goes bright red, embarrassed as shit because he had no clue Ragto was watching the entire disaster unfold. Ragto laughs it off and says they'll discuss his pathetic love life later, but first he needs to talk about Rudo's latest junkyard adventure. Ragto gently reminds him there's no need to push himself so much, as they're not completely broke. He figures Rudo probably feels indebted because he adopted him after Rudo's biological dad got thrown into that hellhole for murder. Rudo quickly insists that's not how it is. He genuinely thinks of Ragto as family and is just doing his part. With a knowing smile, Ragto advises him to be equally honest with Chua, causing Rudo to fluster so badly that he accidentally reopens his wound from the gunshot last night. So Ragto instantly tends to him, carefully applying first aid and changing the bandages on his hands as well. Looking at his scared-up hands, Rudo remembers they've been screwed up for as long as he can recall. Everyone always judged him for it, and sometimes they'd randomly hurt like hell for no damn reason until Ragto hooked him up with those black gloves, which somehow magically eased the pain. After finishing up the bandaging, Ragto bluntly tells him he better hurry and confess to Chua before some other asshole steals her away. As they bicker and joke around, some creepy bastard wearing a mask listens silently from the shadows outside, spying on their entire conversation. The following morning, Rudo finally gets off his ass, builds up the nerve to confess, grabs the puppy toy, and heads straight to Chua's place. But of course, shit never goes smoothly, because along the way he stumbles onto a scene that's sadly not uncommon around these parts. At the slum's edge is the infamous pit, the dumping ground for garbage and hardcore criminals. Today, they're throwing another poor bastard down into that godforsaken hole. Rudo watches, unable to look away, wondering just what the hell actually happens to people who get tossed in there. Out of nowhere, Chua pops up right beside him, commenting casually about how messed up the scene is, nearly making Rudo jump out of his skin because he wasn't mentally prepared to see her yet. Completely oblivious to his panic, she casually continues chatting about the executions and other messed up shit before suddenly turning serious, telling him she doesn't want to see his dumb ass thrown down there. She admits there might be valuable stuff in that garbage pit, but it ain't worth risking his life over. Rudo quietly mutters that Ragto said the same exact thing, and with a gentle look, she tells him that's because Ragto also genuinely cares about him. It takes Rudo's potato-powered brain a solid moment to realize that when Chua said Ragto loves him too, she was low-key confessing that she also likes him. Chua quickly turns bright red, clearly embarrassed as hell by how her words sounded, but it's already too late. Rudo is gone, mentally checked out, short-circuited completely. He collapses dramatically to the ground, covering his face like an idiot before finally gathering the courage to hand over the puppy toy, nervously mumbling that even though it came from the trash, the puppy would definitely be happier with her. To his absolute shock, Chua happily accepts the gift, promising to cherish it. Rudo practically loses his shit right then and there, happier than he's ever been in his miserable life. He literally starts jumping and dancing like a complete dork all the way home, eager as hell to brag about it to Ragto immediately. Along the way, he bumps into a bunch of guards who don't even bother acknowledging him, which is weird, but whatever. He's too giddy to give a damn why they're roaming around the slums today. He then bursts through the front door, excitedly babbling to Ragto about everything that just happened. But his words catch in his throat when he sees Ragto collapse on the floor, pinned beneath some creepy-ass masked bastard. The masked dude calmly turns to look straight at Rudo, then coldly plunges his knife even deeper into Ragto's body. Rage completely overtakes Rudo. He charges at the murderer, but before he can even swing a punch, he gets clocked so damn hard he doesn't even feel himself hit the ground. By the time Rudo regains his senses, the masked asshole has already finished the job. The killer casually picks a book off the floor and strolls out, barely giving Rudo a second glance. Rudo tries crawling after him, desperate for vengeance, but then a weak voice stops him in his tracks. Ragto is somehow still hanging on, barely breathing, and with his last ounce of strength, he begs Rudo to run. Panicked, Rudo rushes back to Ragto's side, promising he'll get help, but Ragto just weakly shakes his head, telling him to get the hell out and change this shit show of a world into something better. Then Ragto's body goes limp and Rudo's brain freezes, unable to even comprehend the nightmare he just witnessed. At that exact moment, the soldiers storm into the house, immediately zapping Rudo with their stun weapons and pinning him to the ground, accusing him of murder. Rudo frantically insists he's innocent, begging them to chase after the real killer who literally just walked out, but the guards don't give a shit, claiming they caught him red-handed and his explanations don't matter. Rudo continues pleading his innocence, but they ignore his desperate pleas and they shut him up the good old-fashioned way by knocking him the hell out with a solid punch to the head. Before long, Rudo's hauled onto the scaffold to pay for a crime he didn't commit. Practically everyone from the slums has gathered for the twisted entertainment, along with some smug-ass VIP assholes from the wealthy districts. The judge looks down at him with disgust, spouting some pretentious bullshit about murder being among the most terrible sins one can commit. He coldly states that even though Rudo's victim was just some slum dweller, the sentence won't be softened. Death by tossing him into the damn pit. The crowd goes wild with approval, cheering like they're watching a freaking football game. Rudo still can't wrap his head around this nightmare and desperately searches for even one face that believes his innocence. His eyes lock onto Chua standing in the crowd. He shouts at her, desperately pleading that he didn't kill Ragto, begging her to find the real bastard responsible. But Chua coldly shuts him down, saying she trusted him once, but he betrayed that trust. She bitterly calls him nothing but a son of a murderer after all, tossing the puppy toy aside as she turns her back on him. Her betrayal cuts deeper than any of the other shit he's been through, and something inside him snaps. Rudo loses his cool completely, furiously yelling back at the bastards, calling him trash. He screams that they're the real garbage here, brainless sacks of meat without the guts or the will to see the truth. He vows he'll drag every last one of them straight to hell. But right then he notices the creepy masked murderer standing casually in the crowd, enjoying the show. But before he can shout out the truth, though they shove him off the edge. The fall feels endless and Rudo eventually blacks out, thinking he's done for good. But luck's weirdly on his side today because he lands in the massive heap of garbage at the pit's bottom, unharmed except for his shattered pride. As he slowly regains consciousness, he wonders how in the unholy hell he's still breathing. Then the smell hits in full force and even a seasoned trash connoisseur like himself gags uncontrollably, almost passing out again from the stench alone. When his eyes finally adjust, he takes in the sheer, endless ocean of filth stretching out in front of him, seeing shit he's never seen before mixed in with familiar junk. He's still wondering what kind of messed up place he's landed in when suddenly an enormous shadow looms over him, blotting out the little light available. Rudo turns around and holy shit, standing before him is a monstrous creature made entirely out of trash, glaring down at him with massive, disgusting fangs ready to rip him apart. Rudo then breaks into a desperate sprint as more monsters burst from the shadows. The three creatures instantly surround him, blocking every possible escape route. In a moment of sheer terror, Rudo finally realizes they're not normal beasts, they're grotesque giants assembled from piles of freaking garbage. He has no clue how something this insane could even exist or how the hell he's going to survive it. His only option is trusting his instincts and dodging like crazy while he desperately searches for a way out. He suddenly trips over something, the human skull, and horror fills him as he imagines ending up exactly like that lifeless skeleton. He refuses to accept it, yet deep down he's running out of hope. Rage and despair hit him as he curses those bastards who threw him here despite his innocence, asking himself bitterly how things could have possibly gotten this bad. The garbage shifts beneath his feet, causing the ground to give way, sending him plummeting downward into the darkness. He crashes hard, pain shooting through every inch of his battered body, barely able to move. He can't catch his breath, the filthy air slicing through his lungs like glass with each gasp. He knows he's out of time, so he desperately scans around for someplace safe, but sees nothing except endless hills of trash. The cruel reality sinks in. This nightmare might really be how it all ends. He coughs violently, blood spilling from his mouth, proof that his body is beginning to shut down even though his mind refuses to surrender. The creatures move closer, ready to finish him off. Exhausted, beaten, and cornered, Rudo's thoughts drift to his foster father Recto, a good man who didn't deserve to die. Anger and grief fill him again. He can't quit, not now, not before making Recto's killer pay. Right then, something deep inside him wakes up, an unfamiliar but powerful force urging him to stand and fight. Using every bit of strength left, he grabs a metal pipe lying nearby and forces himself to his feet. There's no way he's going down quietly, not until he's found the bastard who framed him, not until he's avenged Recto. With all his fury channeled into one last swing, Rudo smashes the monster back, knocking it violently off balance. Elsewhere in the vast sea of garbage, a peculiar guy holding an umbrella casually observes Rudo's desperate fight through a pair of binoculars, but we'll find out who this dude is soon enough. Back in the heat of battle, Rudo goes full wild mode, swinging furiously, with no real plan except pure chaos. The monster shoves him back, landing a solid hit, but Rudo's adrenaline numbs any pain, and he immediately retaliates by launching his steel pipe straight into the beast's face. Just as he catches his breath, another monster erupts from the trash beneath him, knocking Rudo backward. Now the pain finally hits, blood drips from his mouth, but he's too amped up to stop. He charges forward again, grabbing a sharp piece of metal roofing and violently splits one monster in half. It's a crazy achievement, but Rudo's body is at its absolute limit, and he can't avoid the next beast's attack. But the creature pounds the ground with such force that it catapults Rudo into the air, landing right at the feet of that mysterious guy watching earlier. His stranger has a mask on to handle the poisonous air, and he carries that stupid umbrella even though it's not raining. Without a word, he casually kicks Rudo for literally no reason at all, then finally slaps a breathing mask onto his face, letting him catch some air. Struggling to comprehend what's going on, Rudo immediately begins questioning the man about his identity, their location, and the nature of this bizarre place. But the guy coldly refuses to answer, just telling him to shut up. When Rudo keeps shouting louder like an absolute idiot, demanding more answers, the mysterious man finally snaps and yells back, telling him that this place isn't underground, it's actually above ground. It's just where the whole damn city dumps its endless trash. The guy explains he was only staying quiet to avoid attracting more monsters. But thanks to their loud yelling match, those trash beasts, as he calls them, start emerging again. The stranger informs Rudo that normal weapons won't do shit against these monsters, but luckily for him, this man's umbrella is not some ordinary umbrella. Suddenly, the umbrella morphs into an even crazier version of itself. Calmly and coolly, the guy points it at the nearest monster, and with a powerful drill-like attack, vaporizes the beast into tiny bits. Several other trash monsters charge at them, but the guy wipes them all out with a single, ridiculous sweep of his umbrella, leaving Rudo speechless. For a final touch, he unleashes his most powerful attack, dramatically calling out Unbreaker Octashredder, and slices all the remaining monsters cleanly into shreds. With the monsters gone, the strange guy walks back over to Rudo. Once again, Rudo asks who exactly he is, and this time the guy finally removes his mask, introduces himself as Engine, and casually mentions he's a cleaner around here. But clearly, cleaner has a deeper meaning, suggesting he might belong to some mysterious secret group called the Cleaners. The second Engine takes off the mask, the unbearable stench hits him hard, making him choke. He immediately regrets that dumb decision, complains loudly about the horrific air quality, and quickly puts the mask back on. At this moment, Rudo realizes Engine is probably just some random dude like himself, and now that he's gotten at least a few answers, his exhausted body finally lets him pass out again. In his unconscious state, memories flood his mind, taking him back to a time when he was still with Recto. One day, he'd come home soaked and miserable after being bullied by some kids. When Recto asked him what happened, Rudo explained that he told those brats that objects have souls if you treat them well, so they mocked him and pushed him around. Recto asked if he fought back, and when Rudo said no, Recto praised him for it. Rudo then reminded Recto that he himself once said if an object is treated carefully and respectfully for a long time, eventually a soul will inhabit it. Recto walked closer, asking if Rudo truly believed that legend. He admitted that even he, who had shared this belief, didn't know if it was actually true because it was merely a legend passed down with no concrete proof. Still, Recto said he'd rather believe it anyway, that objects, when treated well, could indeed be inhabited by a soul. He gently dried Rudo off, remarking that even the towel could have a soul, or else how could it be so effective at cleaning a person's body? And Recto said that even the gloves Rudo wore could someday gain their own soul and help him out. They laughed together, joking that maybe even toilets could have souls if people treated them kindly enough. But that warm memory is short-lived as Rudo is dragged back into reality, a reality that's even crueler than he'd expected. But at least he's still alive after what just happened. He feels himself chained up and getting roughly dragged across the filthy ground. When he glances up, he realizes the person dragging him along is Engine, the same oddball from before. Engine clearly doesn't give a damn about Rudo's comfort, continuing to drag him mercilessly through the dirt. Rudo wonders if maybe it's finally time to just accept his miserable fate. But if he gives up now, that means giving up on revenge against all the people who wronged him, and he's not ready to let them off the hook just yet. Rudo desperately screams at Engine, demanding to be taken back to the surface. Engine looks at him like he's lost his damn mind, mocking him for thinking there's even a surface left to return to. Engine bluntly explains that what Rudo thinks is the surface isn't even there anymore. The world he came from is a sphere, a moving structure that's already drifted far away from where Rudo was tossed out, making any return impossible. But Rudo isn't listening to Engine's explanations. He stubbornly insists he'll scream non-stop unless Engine helps him get back. He pleads desperately, begging Engine to at least tell him more about this messed up world and the sphere. Engine, however, couldn't care less, and he ignores Rudo's begging, continues dragging him in silence, and eventually drops him off near a line of grimy-looking trucks. And without another word, Engine walks away. Rudo, panicked and frustrated, yells at Engine again, but the strange guy doesn't even look back. Rudo slowly turns around and sees a group of strange figures approaching him. At first, he isn't even sure if they're human, just praying they're not another bunch of monsters about to rip him apart. Thankfully, they don't seem hostile, at least not yet. They approach curiously, surprised and amused by the fact that he's still alive. They ask if he's actually from the sphere, and when he confirms it, they excitedly remove their masks and hurry closer. They reveal it's been forever since they found someone from the sphere who wasn't already dead, so seeing one alive shocks them completely. One of them kindly steps forward, pretending to help Rudo by removing the chains. Relieved, Rudo instantly concludes these folks must be better than Engine. But unfortunately, he couldn't be more wrong because these people are far worse. They immediately rebind him tighter than before, roughly chaining him to one of the trucks. Laughing cruelly right in front of him, they talk openly about the huge profit they'll make from selling him. Not only do they plan to sell his body, but they gleefully discuss chopping him up, selling his head, eyes, ears, everything. They mockingly ask if he actually believed they cared, reminding him harshly that everyone here hates people from the sphere. In fact, spherites fetch such high prices precisely because of how much they're despised. You might be wondering why spherites are hated so damn much, and honestly the reason isn't complicated. The folks up there on the sphere keep dumping all their garbage down here into the pit, poisoning the air, ruining the environment, and turning their trash into deadly monsters. Countless people have lost their loved ones to these creatures, so the hatred toward anyone from the sphere runs deep. One of the men picks up a handful of trash and shoves it toward Rudo, mocking him by saying he better eat it if he wants to stay alive, since they need him breathing to fetch a good price. And once they sell him, they'll gladly pay extra to watch him get tortured. The guy forces a chunk of garbage right into Rudo's mouth. In blind rage, Rudo snaps, biting down viciously and ripping the skin clean off two of the man's fingers before swallowing them whole. He then defiantly grabs another handful of trash and eats that too, telling them he doesn't give a damn about their whining over trash, monsters, the sphere, or anything else, because all he feels is pure fury. Suddenly, his body ignites in an intense surge of red energy. The chains binding him transform into a weapon he instinctively wields. At that moment, he remembers Recto's words that objects, if treated with care, can gain souls of their own and even save you someday. Engine watches silently from a distance, recognizing immediately what's happening. People who can harness souls from objects are known as givers. Realizing what the hell is going on, the injured man desperately orders the others to overwhelm Rudo quickly, claiming givers only have the strength from a single object, so they hurry up and drop the chain from his hand. But they're completely stunned when Rudo grabs a nearby tire and effortlessly draws strength from that as well. Now they realize this isn't just any ordinary giver. He can control multiple objects and he's insanely powerful. Rudo takes them all down one by one, and as he's about to finish off their leader, Engine steps in, grabbing Rudo's arm and suppressing the raging red energy instantly. Rudo regains his senses, confused and disoriented, but recognizes Engine immediately. Engine apologizes for ditching him earlier, saying he did it only to see exactly what Rudo was capable of. Now that he's confirmed Rudo's strength, Engine promises to explain everything about his abilities, the pit, and even the sphere, if Rudo agrees to join the cleaners because they need someone like him badly. It's a pretty tempting offer considering he desperately needs allies and protection in this messed up world, but Rudo remembers his past betrayals and quickly rejects the deal. If you enjoy the recap, make sure to let me know down in the comments. And of course, don't forget to drop a like, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button. Most importantly, turn on the notification bell so you're the first to catch the next episode as soon as it drops. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.